Welcome to our community. Susie Thomas with you this morning. So happy to welcome Leslie Berman. She is with Be Like the Willow movement. Good morning.
Good morning.
Well, I think, whenever we see these cool hashtags, we kind of think, what's behind that? So Be Like the Willow, that's got a very compelling sound to it. Mm-hmm. What is it?
In 2017, we experienced a stillbirth with our daughter Willow, which is the Willow part of the hashtag. And we, when we were announcing on Facebook, of course, that we had experienced a stillbirth, we went to Google, and I was looking up just quotes about Willow, and I assumed there would probably be one about a tree, and because I just wanted something to put with the announcement, maybe at the bottom, that went along with it. So the quote that came up was the Be Like the Willow quote, which is be like the willow, able to bend without breaking amongst the storms that may come your way, or something very similar. And in that moment, we kind of were like, okay, that's very fitting. That's perfect to what we're experiencing. This is something that we can either let it break us, or we can kind of, bend without breaking. And so that's where the Be Like the Willow hashtag came from.
Had you named the baby Willow before this happened, or was that afterwards?
We had a different name in mind, and it wasn't until they were prepping me for surgery that I looked up at my husband, Andrew, and I said, I think we should name her Willow. And we had only talked about that name maybe once or twice before.
Wow.
Yeah. So it just fit in perfectly. And now we can't imagine it any other way. So
no, it truly did that would come to you at that point. How far along in the pregnancy, may I ask? And please know that if I ask you anything and you'd rather not talk about it, because I don't want to press a button that's going to trigger pain for you.
No, I believe that you experience healing a lot better if you talk about it. And most likely, even though somebody may not have gone through exactly what you went through, they've gone through something similar. So I was 40 weeks, 2 days. I had a great pregnancy. Everything was fairly perfect. I didn't have any medical issues. We didn't have any issues getting pregnant. We were very blessed. I actually felt better pregnant than not pregnant.
Wow.
And I had gone for my tummy check appointment, and they said, everything looks good. We're going to induce you on Saturday, and, if you don't naturally go by yourself. And I had gone to the triage the next day because I was experiencing things similar to like Braxton Hicks, but it was my first pregnancy, so I didn't know what to expect.
Sure.
And they said, you're not in active labor yet, so you can go ahead and go home. And that night I slept wonderfully. I woke up with a burst of energy, and the next morning I was going through my morning routine. I felt great, and about mid-morning I had noticed that all the normal kicks that I was experiencing, they weren't really there, but I wasn't sure because I was still having those Braxton Hicks, like if she had moved, or again, it was my first pregnancy. So I called the nurse line, and later in the day they had us go back to the triage, and I was like, they're gonna send me home because I was just there yesterday. I was at my tummy check appointment. I feel great. I'm fine. And so we made the trip up to the triage and went through all the motions just like we had the day before. And when they put that monitor on, there was nothing. There was no heartbeat.
Oh, Leslie, I can't even fathom what a mother goes through at that point. Can you share with us a little bit about your reaction? You had to be in shock.
Yeah, it's very confusing, I think, is the best word that I've come up with to explain it, because obviously nobody prepares you for that experience. It's just not what you expect. So I think before you even get to the fact of what has happened, I think you kind of go through the motions of just confusion. Like, wait, what did you just, what did you just say? Wait, how did this happen? Okay. And, but through the whole experience, I kind of had a sense of calm. Like, there is always a a plan, and while we try to control those plans and move in our lives the way that we think we should, sometimes there's just a different journey that we have to walk. And I think in that moment, in that very, very, very silent room, I just was like, okay. And I took a deep breath and I said, okay, well, what now? Like, what happens next? Where do we go from here? So, it's very confusing. So,
conversations with God about that time. I'm sure I know I would be, with maybe even shaking a fist in the air.
Yes, definitely. A little, not a little hurt. I mean, really hurt.
Yeah.
But
like you say, confusion. Like,
yeah.
Are you paying attention?
Yeah. Well, and then you go. That little bit comes in where you're like, well, wait, what did I do to? And then I hate the word deserve, but what did I do to deserve this? And as soon as that thought went through my head, it's like, no, that is not how this needs to be viewed. This needs to be viewed as, why have I been chosen to experience this?
Wow.
Why have I, like, why have I been chosen to experience this, to be able to, is it to be an advocate for this and talk about it? And I mean, I didn't even know that could happen.
That early in the process,
yeah,
that kind of spiritual maturity just is mind-boggling. That's amazing. That's a gift. That's a gift of faith that you were given.
Yeah. I mean, I still was hurting, and I still was very confused. But I guess it was, my uncle used to say that misery is optional. And so,
wow.
Like, you can take it and you can make it be something. While it's very devastating, you can make it be something that has all those negative emotions attached with it, or you can try to see it as like, okay, what can we make? How can we make it the best situation that it can be? And my nurses and everybody that was surrounding me had a huge role in that. And I think that's part of the reason why, when the movement started and everything, I just felt so empowered or whatever, because I had all of those random acts of kindness throughout my experience, and on the best and the worst day of my life,
yes,
I had those people kind of carrying me through. And
that's interesting you should say that, because that's where I was going next. What kind of support did you experience from the hospital staff? And then part two of that is, what did you feel you still needed, that now that you're so much more aware of what other people going through this would need?
Well, it really wasn't even just the nurses. My doctor, like, everybody just was so patient. And I think that when you go through that, I thankfully did not have a traumatic birth story. I mean, overall I did, but, I wasn't rushed into the ER and emergency surgery and all of that. I had time. So I think the thing that I appreciated most was, right after I said, okay, what happens next? What do we do? Our doctor said, take as much time as you need, like as much time as you need. And so it just was all the small things. I had, there was an old friend of my brother's that was, two of them actually, and that were on staff. So the one was with me the night of, and then the other one was there the next day. And how amazing that God places those people in your life at that time.
Yes.
But I also had people that just couldn't, you could just tell in their eyes, they couldn't fathom what I was going through. And a lot of times I tell people that it's not a situation that you're prepared for, so nobody knows what to say to you, but equivalently, you have no idea what to say to other people, You both just kind of look at each other like, yeah, I know. Like,
sometimes there are no words.
Yeah, so my nurse, the one nurse that sticks out, she came in the middle of the night, and it was the first whole night that we had without Willow, because we actually were able to spend the first night with her because of the cuddle cot. But the second night, I had fallen asleep, and I woke up in almost like a panic, like I was having flashbacks almost. And she came in to check on me, and she just very quietly sat down and held my hand. And, and it's like, thank you so much just for being here.
Yes.
And just, I don't know, everybody was just there with open arms. I had, do you want me to take the nursery, and what do you want us to do with the nursery? What can we do to make your trip home easier? What can friends and family? And so just little things. We had cards that were sent after we got home. People were bringing us meals. It just, everybody was so giving of themselves, and which is even more impressive because they didn't know what they were giving, but
Yes.
most people would say, don't pity my situation. And the hugs or the tears in your eyes, or, that makes me feel bad about my situation. But for me, that brings me such comfort. Like, you care enough about me that you're standing in front of me and you're holding back tears, but you care enough about me that you're here, and you don't have to say anything. Like, you're here for me. So, yeah, just the random, very simple things that don't even cost money, things were
Yes.
nice things for us.
Being there.
And then as far as what would I wish, I honestly don't know that I would have wished anything was different as far as knowing anything ahead of time, because I know going through our second pregnancy, we did have all of that background, and there is a certain uneasiness that
Yes.
you experience on
Sure.
top of, so I don't know that I would have changed anything, but I do think through the movement that there is awareness.
Yes.
And I think awareness is important just to know that it does happen. I mean, I figured we were past the first 12 weeks, and I didn't have any, obvious medical reasons, and so I was good. It didn't.
Sure. 40
and-
weeks.
Yeah.
One would assume.
Yes. And even after, we did all the testing and everything possible, and there still isn't an answer. So
They still cannot tell you why.
no.
Willow
So-
just went to heaven.
Well, and how comforting that the very first thing that she saw was
Yeah.
God, and the very first thing, like, and how she did pass away was warm and cuddled in my belly
Yes.
with no stress.
Yes.
No stress. And so what a blessing that I was able to carry her as long as I did, and that her experience, that was the, laid out in that way, I guess. I don't know.
You have the rare distinction of being the person who knew her the very best.
Yes. Yeah.
What can you tell us about her?
She loved jazz music. I would play music, and every time there was a brass instrument, she would dance. She would, and even with my second pregnancy,
Not the same.
No, so
No
I
jazz.
just thought it was like a pregnancy thing, but
No. It was a Willow thing.
yeah, it was definitely a Willow thing. So we did, yeah. She had a personality just.
Yeah. Time of day that she liked being awake more than others?
Normally morning. She was very, very active. And then about every hour throughout the night. But yeah.
Yeah. Oh my. Well, following along with that, when we lose a loved one, we're allowed to have a funeral. We're allowed to grieve. It's a different situation often when someone has a stillbirth or a miscarriage, and yet don't you feel like you ought to be able to? How did you handle it? You developed the hashtag movement.
Yes. So when we were in the recovery room, because I had a C-section, I knew that I would have to be in recovery for a couple of hours. Well, with a baby, their features and everything change very quickly. And so I had said, is there anything that we can do to help with her color? Because we like to take pictures once we get back to our room.
Yes.
And they said we have what's called a cuddle cot, and it's a cooling unit that the baby is placed in, or you can take, it's like a cooling pad that you can take out. And like I held Willow, I had the cooling pad in my arm, and then Willow was on top of that. And it basically preserves their features a little bit longer, so you have that time to grieve. So because of the cuddle cot, we were able to spend as much time, which again, that's like the biggest gift that you can give somebody in that situation, because it's not like a normal funeral. It's a rapid change, and so we were able to use the cuddle cot. They had one at Altman. And we didn't realize until a couple days after, as we were planning the funeral, and that, I just wanted something. I wanted someone to be able to express their condolences by maybe donating something, or rather than flowers and money and that kind of stuff. So my husband had actually taken a picture of on the cuddle cot. There's a plaque, and it said donated in part by Ashley's Embrace. And so I went to Google and I searched for Ashley's Embrace, and that's when the cuddle cot came up. So what we learned is that a cuddle cot, Ashley's Embrace partners with you as a family, and you raise its $2,850. It's $2,800.50, and then Ashley's Embrace kicks in the rest. And in the UK, there is one, if not two, at every medical facility.
Wow!
But in the United States, there's not. And so it's a wonderful tool to be able to have. And in that moment, I didn't even realize. Like, I just thought it was a piece of hospital equipment. So, so then it began that in lieu of flowers, we'd like you to donate to Ashley's Embrace. And then it was about September. We had Willow in June, and it was about September. And I was on social media, and I was looking at one post right after the next about negative things. And I feel like I handled, the grief, and I experienced all that fairly well. But I was still very sad. And so,
And I hate to stop you at that point, but I'm going to have to stop you right there, but we will find out what happened next. We're going to take a short break and be back after these words. You're listening to Our Community. Welcome back to Our Community. Susie Thomas visiting with Leslie Berman with the hashtag Be Like the Willow movement, and we're learning about cuddle cots. And so you were able to take your experience and begin to raise funds and use your own experience to raise funds so that others, and who knew this was something that needed to be addressed so frequently, that they can have time with their baby.
Yeah, we learned very quickly about all the statistics and everything of experiencing a loss.
What are they? How frequent is it?
So 1 in 4 pregnancies, which if you take and you look at a room, yes, now that's any type of loss. That's a miscarriage, that's a stillbirth. But yes, 1 in 4. And we were blown away. And what we started to realize is people have gone through this, and either, like, some people don't even tell their family.
Yes.
I mean, it was such an early loss for them, or I had quite a few families that reached out and said, we've experienced this 40 years ago and we weren't allowed to see our baby.
Oh my.
And so a lot of people, I just think, don't feel like they can talk about it. But the cuddle cot is wonderful for that, because it gives you that time just to take a second or a couple hours or sometimes a couple days and just try to experience as much as you can, because that kind of is being taken, not taken from you, but
before you have to be physically separated.
Yeah, and you are so confused and you don't know what you're supposed to do or how you're supposed to handle everything and juggle everything. And so it's nice to just be able to hold your baby even.
Yes.
I mean, some choose to give their babies a bath or do all the little firsts, or as many firsts as they possibly can. And you would think that holding that baby tight in your arms with and just surrounding them with that warmth would be your best thing to do because that's your natural instinct, but it actually speeds the process.
The warmth is not good
up.
for
Yeah.
right.
So the Cuddle Cot is that cooling unit, and it pushes cold air through it looks kind of like a like bubble wrap, almost like a heating pad that you would get at the hospital, but it's a cooling pad, and it keeps the features preserved. So so in September I was scrolling through and I saw one thing right after the next. It was negative, and I was like, take my experience out of it. There are people, every single person that you meet is going through something. It can be big, it can be small, but it is big in their life.
Right.
And I just needed a little bit more positivity and encouragement, and which is hard to even say because I was overwhelmed with all of the support and everything. But I wanted to be able to go to social media. I think that was the biggest thing, to go to social media and see good. I just wanted
Oh, well, good luck
to
with
see
that.
good, yeah. And so I was like, wouldn't it be great if we could just have like a list of things, and you could pick one thing and you could do it. And then, and then maybe if you posted a picture of it, then somebody else would be like, well, look what really cool thing they did. Mm-hmm. I want to do that.
Spread a little joy.
Yeah.
It can be. It's a wonderful tool. It can be used for one thing. It could be used for another thing. It can be used for good.
Yeah.
And you really have.
Yeah. And so we went on, and I went on and I posted a thing that said I need about 30 people. And, my community was affected as much as we were. And I said, I need 30 people. I have an idea. That's all I said. Who's in? And I had, I think, over 250 comments of people that wanted to do whatever I was going to do.
So when we say we are going to be like the willow, you are talking about being able to bend but not break.
Right. Yeah.
What's involved in this movement? When people say I'm in,
Yeah.
what is involved? I mean, we don't want to be inviting all kinds of horrible things to happen to us.
So I created a calendar, and the basic idea of it is to take your heartache of any experience that you're going through and turn it around, is to bend and not break and make the best of the situation. But we have a calendar, and it has 31 random acts of kindness. Some of them are free. Some of them are by donating different things. And then we do have, we raise money through the Green Heart Giver program that is to raise money for Ashley's Embrace, which provides Cuddle Cots, which we just had all of our totals, and since 2017 we've raised over 33,000.
Oh my goodness! So that's like 10 of these, more than 10 of these.
Yeah.
Wow! And you were able to donate them to which hospitals have them now?
So we can actually pick which ones.
Wow.
If you have one that's special to you. We placed 5 of them in Michigan, all in one day. Which
My goodness.
A beautiful day of chaos. But it was, if you have one that's attached to you emotionally, then we just have to set it up. So we're at the point now where I'm almost asking followers of the movement to, if they have somewhere that sticks out for them, because all of the places that, have special meaning to me now have one.
Okay, this hashtag campaign, on which social media platforms will we find it?
The best one to go to is Facebook. That's the one that's the most recent and the one that I keep up with the best. And it's, if you just search Be Like the Willow Movement, there's a little green heart, and you can ask to join, and pretty much normally very quickly somebody approves you.
Are you one of the Facebook places that we can donate when it's your birthday? Can we add the Be Like the Willow, or do we need to donate through your Facebook page specifically?
So I am actually just a hashtag.
Okay.
I'm not a nonprofit.
Okay.
So any kind of monetary donation that you would want to make, we normally direct you to Ashley's Embrace. If you go to ashleymbrace.org and or .com, ashleymbrace.com.
I'm sure just Google Ashley's Embrace. It'll take you to the right place.
And whenever it takes you to the homepage, you put a / and then type in Be Like the Willow. There'll be a little thing that pops up that you can click donations, and that will show that you're making a donation through the movement to Ashley's Embrace.
Perfect. And it's important to make that distinction.
Yes.
So write all this down, and I know if you're driving, call back because but you want to go to Ashley's Embrace and then specifically hashtag be like, or
So
slash
if you go to Ashley's Embrace's website.
Yes.
It'll take you to the homepage, and then you do a backslash and
Backslash.
type in Be Like the Willow.
Got it.
And then another page will come up, and you'll see it's all blues and greens. And
You're all tied into Ashley's Embrace now officially
Yeah.
with your hashtag movement.
Yeah.
Don't we live in an amazing age?
Yes.
That we can do all of this.
Yes.
So, and we can probably find all of that through going to Facebook and
Absolutely.
going straight to Be Like the
Absolutely.
Willow.
Yeah, if you go to the Be Like the Willow movement Facebook page, and then you go to the announcements tab, that's going to be your best source of all the different links. We have YouTube links on there that talks about my story and different donation links. Now our movement normally is focused in October. Obviously, you can be nice all year long, but
Right.
but in October is when our main campaign type of stuff happens. So we just finished with ours this year, but
I'm thinking, what a nice, we're into the post-Thanksgiving giving
Yes,
right now. We've got
definitely.
Giving
Thankful,
Tuesday
blessed.
coming up soon.
Yeah.
This will be a wonderful Giving Tuesday thing to do.
Yes.
Also, what a nice Christmas gift for someone, in your honor or in the memory of somebody to be
Yeah.
able to make a donation of this kind. Alongside the donations, you have random acts of kindness in our closing moments. Can you tell us what some of those were? What are some of those 31 things?
One is to buy the person in line behind you at your drive-through, buy them their coffee. One is to donate an elephant to Forget-Me-Not Baskets, which is an organization that does bereavement baskets. One would be to smile to everyone that you see, open a door for a stranger, pay for the person, or pay for a dinner next to you, leave a larger than normal tip. Sometimes they have two, write a letter to someone in the service. There's all different kinds.
And enough for one for every day of the month.
If not two, yeah.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, you know what? It's just a matter of having it be on top of the mind, isn't it? Most people would love to do these kinds of things. We just don't think of it. We're a little self-absorbed in our day, and it's great. We're always happier when we're just thinking about somebody else.
Yep,
We're
makes you
just
feel better.
happier. Well, speaking of happier, you've got a happy ending. Tell me about your family today.
Yes. So we have our daughter, Ruby. She's our rainbow baby. Healthy pregnancy with her, healthy delivery. Everything went exactly as it was supposed to. And I think we're very blessed to have both babies. And,
Yes.
we have definitely learned different lessons from both.
Oh, yeah. One will continue to be a challenge.
Yeah.
Oh, God
Yes.
bless you. God bless your beautiful family. And what a wonderful way to honor your beautiful daughter, Willow,
Thank you
too.
so much for having me on.
Leslie Berman, thanks for what you do in our community.
Thank you.